in to see Mr. Ravi, who is the current president of the Trinidad and Tobago Goat and Sheep Society. Now, just now we was listening to Libs on the radio. They are arguing about the hunters, banning the hunters and whatnot. They were saying they just casually mentioned that why it is the hunters can't just create a farm and farm the wild animals. It's not that easy. Farming any kind of animal, doing livestock production is not easy. What we doing today, why we want to speak to Ravi, is because we want to find out how are livestock producers managing with the climate change issue. Because a lot of people don't realize it's not only humans that face, storms and heat waves and all these kinds of things, but the animals have to face it too. And if you look down the food chain, if you look down the line, these same animals is what people are consuming. So we need to find out what is going on, how do producers manage with their livestock in terms of the heat and in terms of the excessive rain and stormy weather. So we waiting on that.
So we headed over to the farm where we met up with a number of persons, one of which was Mr. Wayne Bowen. And Wayne Bowen has admitted to us that he has about 50 years experience as a livestock farmer. He also admitted that he's not a big weather observer and he doesn't really know the effects that the weather has directly on the animals. But he said that that's honestly because he's the only worker on the farm. But what he can say though, or what he did say to us, is that during the dry season over the years he realized that it's been a bit more difficult for him to gather forage for the animals. And this could be probably because, the change in temperature, or perhaps, poor irrigation systems put in place by him. And what he also admitted is that during the rainy season, there's been so much water that again it's been difficult for him to gather forage. But again, we can say this may not be because there's been an increase in actual rainfall, but maybe because of poor drainage practices. However, Mr. Wayne Bowen said that, just to combat such issues, instead of allowing the animals to roam free and graze out in the wild, he's developed a zero forage system where he goes out, gathers the forage, and brings them in for the animals to feed on.
Alright, so CARDI is a Caribbean agricultural organization. We do a lot of research that will help to adapt different technologies in agriculture to the Caribbean region to improve agriculture through research. I know you would have conducted an interview with CARDI before, and one of the things that was identified was increase in temperatures and drought conditions, flash floods, torrential rains, and these things. So this is exactly it. So we have challenges with high temperatures, drought and floods, and that's impacting on our livestock sector. So for instance, species such as swine and poultry, they have a low tolerance for heat, and as a result they're susceptible to heat stress, right? Even to, I know Norman didn't mention before, but with respect to small ruminants, one of the things is not direct but it's indirect in that the impacts on forage inputs. It's so with the high temperatures and you have flooding and stuff, this could impact negatively on the production in terms of forage. Right, so in poultry, yes, it's a big problem. So you have high mortality rates in parts like this, tropical parts like Trinidad, where the increased temperatures can result in all sorts of negative impacts on the poultry in particular. I know it's a similar case for swine. Alright, so in the case, so as we mentioned, poultry and swine has been affected directly, to a less extent ruminant animals. But some of the things that have been done on a farmer's level, the level of farmers, is like, so for instance, housing, orientation and location is important. So for instance, you want to have that east-west orientation that will sort of minimize the impact of the sun, high temperatures, and maximize the I guess, the exposure to natural ventilation like the wind and stuff. So that helps. Housing in terms of even like for poultry, for instance, I know UE has been doing a lot of work on the tunnel ventilation. So it's a system of cooling for the poultry. In terms of feeds, I know Norman would have mentioned before cut and carry systems, which is important for like reducing the impact. So if you have the animals out grazing in the open, they're more exposed to these severe environmental conditions. So what they have them maybe sheltered or shaded, and they feed on that. I know I've been doing a lot of work in poultry with energy efficient feeds. So what you have with these feeds is that it's more is channeled into production and less channeled out into metabolic heat, which could sort of exacerbate heat condition like heat stress. So that's one thing. So feeds is one thing, housing, design, the location, orientation, all these, this is important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christy Bihari is an executive member of the Trinidad and Tobago Goat and Sheep Society. She's also a farmer and has also studied agriculture. TTGSS is a part of the CARDI initiative for resilient breeds in forages. The society sees CARDI's initiative as a good one. With good management of forages, this would increase growth rates on farms. Christy herself as a farmer uses the moringa provided by CARDI. She's mainly using it as a trial for the sheep and goats, as she seeks to see the benefits of using them on the farm. Trinidad and Tobago Goat and Sheep Society seeks to combat climate change issues by informing farmers about what steps can be taken to help ease the problem. Two major issues affected by climate change in goat and sheep farming would be housing and diseases. A change in housing designs for pens and keeping the animals away from the wet areas that would cause the increase of parasites. And this would in turn help TTGSS and goat and sheep farmers to handle climate change issues.